Our souls chose our bodies and our upbringings and everything to live our dharmas, to live our highest expressions in this lifetime. Now, your first round of lifetimes on this planet.
I'm here today with Sahara Rose. Thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. So I'm super excited to have you on. We've known each other for a while now through Instagram. We both do kind of something similar for a living, and I know a lot of my audience follows you and vice versa, so it's kind of a cool crossover. So thank you for coming on first off. And I wanted to just start this off by talking about a little bit of something we were talking about earlier in a little private conversation, talking about like geeking out about esoteric stuff. What was the channeled material you were telling me about?
Okay, so it was about 2013 in Bali, and I was at this point of my life, like I must have a greater purpose, but I don't know what it is. I don't really know what I'm good at or what I'm meant to do. And it was this really tough time in my life. And I was like really obsessed with all things spirituality. And I was just like, you know, you go on this Google tangent, you're just like looking things up. And I end up on this website, michaelteachings.com. And it's like, we are a group of 1,008 souls called Michael. And like, we channel this material to help you humans assist in your ascension. And like, I was like, what is this? And then I started reading about it and everything resonated so deeply. So essentially, Michael is the name of the souls, what they call themselves.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not really their name.
Right.
And it helps us understand how we're so different. You know, a lot like Law of One is really great for how we're all the same. And this really helps us understand how we're all so different.
Yeah.
So one of the main components of it are the archetypes as well as the soul ages. So one thing that we were talking about before were, you know, sometimes in my life, like maybe I'll have a relative or someone that I'm like, how are they like not conscious? Like, how are they not thinking the same way as I am? And then it helps remind me of they're just in a different soul age.
Yeah.
So there are four main, you know, our souls chose our bodies and our upbringings and everything to live our dharmas, to live our highest expressions in this lifetime. Now, your first round of lifetimes on this planet, which we can't even put into numbers. Like I think humans are like, how many lifetimes have I been here? It's kind of all happening at once. So let's put a number on it. Your first 100 lives, but this is not what they say. Your first round of lifetimes here, you are an infant soul. So you are learning like an infant. This is mine. I don't want to share.
Yeah.
You go away. Poo poo pee pee. Like just like all of the most basic things. And it's really like that root chakra. Like we come into this world seeking survival and security. So for people who are born as infant souls or in their first round of lifetimes as infant souls, it's really about us versus them. It's how can I be safe? It's that person looks different from me, so I am afraid of them. And that's what racism comes from.
Yep.
Or my gender has a penis, so it must be superior to that gender that doesn't have this big old penis, you know? And it's like, I must be superior to them. And it's like, that's just how they think. That's just the lifetime that they're on. They're just learning his, hers, theirs, all of these types of things. And we need to go through that infancy to become then the young souls.
Yeah.
Now, the young souls are what majority of Americans and a lot of people around the world are at. It's, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, it's the wants. So I want a big house and I want a car and I want a cool watch and I want these things because that will make me feel comfort. So it's like really about how can I have comforts, even some luxuries in my life. Sometimes you may think, oh, I'm praying to God, but it's really a separate thing for you. It's like, you know, I was having a conversation with a relative and he was saying some things that were not, you know, not cool. Yeah. And I was like, what would Jesus say to that? And he was like, well, that's religion. That's separate. And I was like, okay, young soul. So
yeah.
It's like that separation of like, yeah, there's God, but he's up there, has nothing to do with us. We are humans, that's God. So it's that distinction right there. And that's a lot of the young souls are at. How can I just become comfortable? After our series of lives as young souls, we become mature souls. So mature souls are, you know, I listen to this Beethoven and I feel some type of way. I feel this feeling of transcendence. I don't really know what it is, but I like it. I notice there's culture here, right? Like I go to the museums, I go to Europe, I'm experiencing this culture. It's helping connect me to something greater than me. Would I say it's spiritual? No, but it's something I enjoy. So arts, music, philosophy, a lot of these things in the, you know, the era of liberty, et cetera, a lot of historical time periods were really about this, of seeking for greater things than survival in life. So mature souls, my parents are mature souls, so it's really like that for them, of like the highlight of their lives is like going to the museum. And that's beautiful. Like that's what they're, so here I am. I'm like, well, what about you? You don't even exist. And it's like, that's not what this lifetime is about for them. They want to just go to the museum and beautiful.
Yeah.
However, then you go beyond that and you become an old soul. And that's when you've had many, many rounds of lifetimes as many different types of figures and experiences, etc. So you are seeking liberation, moksha. You are seeking to unite with the full experience, the full soul that you are. You know, you've realized that you are a drop of the ocean of which you only know one small aspect of. So it's really this like deep desire and thirst for union to something greater than you. So to find that, you dive into the deeper mysteries of life, of like the Michael teachings, you know, the law of attraction, like all of these things. So if you're someone listening to this, you probably are an old soul, because people who are not old souls would not be listening to your work, you know? It's like you are wanting to go deeper. And for some people, their old soulness kind of awakens earlier in life. And for some people, it's later in life. But an old soul will experience awakening in this lifetime. Now, amongst these different age groups, there's, according to Michael, 7 different levels, and each different like level, which is not hierarchical, but it's a theme of the lifetime, which if you guys just go on Michael teachings, you can find more about that. But for example, like we were talking about, like we are definitely old souls, but are we on that set, like level 7? No, because that 7th level is like complete, just, you know, meditating in a cave forever, like no sense of like responsibility or to do. That desire to like make the world a better place, there's a level of grounding that requires. So our karma really is not here to completely leave the world, but it's actually to bring heaven on earth, right? So I feel like we're on that same vibe right now. So different people have different lifetimes. For someone else, it could just be like, I don't know if I'm trying to bring heaven to earth, but I just want to like bring beautiful paintings to the world. Or I just want to feel safe and comfortable. And it really helps us be non-judgmental. Like I think sometimes when we're spiritual, like the judgment comes fully online of like, those people aren't woke enough like I am. And it's like, people are just in different soul ages, and in no way is it hierarchical, because you may come back and like be back at round 1, or like be in a totally different experience that you were like the very thing that triggered you. In fact, I believe that we were each born into the microcosm of the macrocosm that we're here to solve. So I was born into a lineage of patriarchy, female suppression, political imprisonment. My grandmothers were both in child marriages. Like I was born into this lineage so I could see it firsthand and be like, yep, that's just ending with me, honey. Like I am not letting that go forward. So someone may have been born into addiction, or your story of with your stepmom of like that, like suppression that she was putting on you. You got the front row seat of that macrocosm that you are here to solve. You know, let's say you were born into a family with addiction. So you know what your mom's footsteps sound like when she's drunk versus when she's sober. You know how to love an addict. You know all of the ways around it, how this can continue, how people can maybe create more enmeshment and what's the word, like co-create that experience along with her. You're seeing all of the nuances and layers. Of course, we all know addiction is bad, but if you were born into a family with addiction, you are seeing it from that level and perspective that no one else can. And that is not a coincidence. That is because that is that very problem. And it may not be that specific problem of addiction, but it could be all of the coping mechanisms around it that you are here to solve. So I always look at, you know, what were you born with front row seats to? And that's related to your purpose.
Wow, well said. That's awesome. So there's levels that go up, as well as what you're talking about with these different age. That's interesting.
Like themes of life. So another thing that Michael talks about and I love are archetypes. So archetypes are universal, like, you know, personality. Most of us think of it as a personality type, like Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, etc. Even astrology, it's like, you know, kind of an archetypal system. So I love archetypes because they allowed me to see patterns in myself when I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm good at, to see myself in this greater archetype. So then I'm like, okay, well, if I'm in this archetype, that means I must have these gifts, even though I don't see them in myself now, but I can see these little tidbits of it. So for example, you know, I have these 9 Dharma archetypes that are related to your purpose. So one of the ones that we both definitely are visionary. So the visionary is here to channel the new paradigm.
Yeah.
Their gift is their communication, their ability to see the higher picture and to inspire people to see from a higher perspective. So a visionary, for example, looking at some of the world's greatest visionaries like Martin Luther King, he said, I have a dream. He held us to a higher perspective, a new way of being that people were like, what? Black and white people walking side by side? Impossible. You know, visionaries are often hated when they're alive because, you know, they're seeing things from a perspective that most cannot. So some of our souls, we chose to be born as primary visionary archetypes. That is related to our Dharma, to our purpose. So our soul is going to choose that archetype because it gives us the strength, the perspectives, the knowledge, the curiosity, all of the things to now then support this soul mission that we have.
Wow.
So the second one that I think we both have too is the teacher.
Yeah.
So the teacher is, I love you with your whiteboard. You're like, like that's so teachery. So the teacher is really here to impart knowledge. Like that's what their Dharma is. They're someone that goes through life, like learned this lesson, like teach it to others. That's actually how they transmute lessons. So they're like, okay, I went through a breakup. Let me teach others how to go through a breakup. I learned how to eat healthy. Let me teach others how to eat healthy.
Yeah.
That's like what your contract is in this lifetime, like to go through the lesson that you are meant to teach. So people who are teacher archetypes are going to learn firsthand what they're meant to experience, but then they're going to move through things quickly. You know, because it's like once you've mastered a lesson, after a while of teaching it, you're kind of like, you've learned new lessons that you want to share.
So everyone has a primary and a secondary normally. And there's how many, 7 or 9 of them?
So there are 9 archetypes. If you go on dharmaarchetypequiz.com, you could take a quiz to understand yours. But we're actually all 9 archetypes in various amounts.
Wow. So it's kind of like the Carl Union archetypes where they all exist, the Fool, and they all inside of us. It's just, are they activated or do we need to use them in a way as power?
Absolutely. So we are all 9 archetypes in various amounts. I tend to find that our top 2 archetypes stay with us throughout our lives. So no matter what we do, we're going to be visionary and teachers. However, the middle archetypes shift. So I downloaded TikTok, my entertainer went up, you know, whereas before I was like, I guess I like karaoke, but
you post a lot of TikToks.
Yeah, but I never considered myself an entertainer. But through that platform and that expression, it's like, evoked my inner entertainer. Do I want to become a Broadway actress now? No, it's not my primary archetype, but it's an archetype that I had in me. You know, when I was writing one of my books, Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, my researcher archetype really had to come online of research. Do I want to work in a research facility? No. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, his primary is like researcher visionary, right?
Really?
Like,
his number 1 is...
Absolutely, because he's sharing the knowledge, the science. He's done so much research on this. And then his visionary is sharing it. But like, do we know Dr. Joe Dispenza for his like inspirational talks that allowed us to like open up our hearts and see from a higher perspective? Kind of, but it's more the knowledge that he's sharing. It's the research that he's sharing. It's the proof. Even Deepak Chopra is like a researcher as well, that he is a doctor, and his life mission, and, you know, knowing him personally for many years now, he just wants to show people spirituality is real through science. Like, that is what he wants more than anything. Whereas if you look at a Barack Obama, like, he is a visionary archetype. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he has a gift of communication, of charisma, of bringing people to this higher state.
Wow. So, what is it? Dharma. What is the meaning of Dharma?
So the word Dharma is a very ancient word. The original term for it is your soul's purpose.
I love that.
So your soul's purpose, the big reason why you are here. And I see it as not just what you do, but it's also why you do it and how you do it.
Wow.
So for example, both of our dharmas are to raise consciousness. We're both visionary teachers. You know, we're both doing it through media, podcasting and videos, but are very different people. You know, like the way that you do it, the why that you do it, the how that you do it, your experiences, your body, your personality are going to make your dharma's expression different from mine. And that unique energetic frequency that you carry, that really is what your dharma is.
Wow. That's really cool. So what are the other ones? So far we have the teacher, the visionary, the researcher, and
the entertainer. So quick, the dharma of the researcher is to deeply understand. So they go through life of like, why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Why are people thinking like this? And they just want to dive deep into the why. So they're very, very curious. They have like a childlike curiosity throughout their lives. That's what makes someone do researcher. I find that there are 2 types of researcher, past and future. So
Yeah,
a past
historian.
researcher is a historian, and then a future one is all about technology and advancements, sciences, etc. Now, and all of them have light and shadow. You know, one of the shadow aspects of the researcher is feeling like you're never ready, feeling like you don't have enough information, you can't take action.
Wow.
I think there's like probably 100 people in the world that have like the cure to world hunger, knee deep in books, but they feel like they're not ready yet.
I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment from my podcast called the Aaron Doughty Podcast. If you want to listen to the rest of that episode, click the link below. You'll see it on iTunes and Spotify. You can download episodes. It's so easy to listen to. You can do it while you're working out, while you're driving. It's so convenient. And that's where new episodes go live every Tuesday and Thursday, every single week. I have guests coming on the podcast. I have solo episodes, and we go really deep. This is really a place where I get very personable and I share more about things I'm thinking of. I share my top book insights, and you can check it out and subscribe below, and you will see it there. So iTunes, Spotify, listen to the rest of the episode below as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace, much love, and namaste.